Welcome to episode 1 of How Do You Divine? I'm so happy you decided to join me today on this journey. Let me first introduce myself and go into some background about who I am and what brought me to this podcast. I have a history in the broadcasting space stemming back from my younger years in college, where I interned for a university radio station. And shortly after graduating, started a podcast about young professionals trying to find our way in the midst of an economic crisis, because 2008, 2009 was quite a year and things were just evolving. And I feel like there is something amazing about audio that I wanted to capture and kind of, take a audio journal of the time and resonate with my peers as well as my mentors in the space at that time. I recorded a few episodes. My introduction was amazing. I am very much a music head. I love R&B, love hip hop, love reggae. So there was a fusion of great songs that brought me to that intro. But all of that to say that I wasn't able to publish that podcast at the time because, as a marketing professional, I believe everything should be launched with a bang, right? That was my, I want to say, younger, more eager days. So at the time, it was just a goal deferred. And here I am, rejoining this forum that I hold so dear to my heart. I feel like audio is moving, it's empowering, it's dynamic, it's all the great things our favorite song does for us, and a song that brings us back to a good time. Audio will always be a deep passion of mine, and through this medium I wanted to be the anchor of great conversations, empowering something a little bit deeper, right? Going beyond the how's the weather? What do you think? So, what do you think about the latest news, right? So I want it to be empowering, but I also want to dive into how do you divine? And is it divine as in the energy, or is it define as in a definition? Actually, it's a little bit of both. And how to do these definitions, both formal and informal, drive our day-to-day approach to life and how we see life in all of its glory, right? And why did I feel like now was the perfect time? I think it's the perfect time because 2020 taught us some great things, not just the pandemic, as if a whole pandemic isn't crazy enough, but I think the beauty of this pandemic was perspective, right? I think everyone realized what was important in life, beyond materialistic and the thought of certainty. I think 2020 was amazingly tragic because it made us realize that nothing in life is certain, right? And I think subconsciously we all knew that, but we all got kind of accustomed to our routines and the fact that, we wake up, we go to work, we take care of our families, and we do it all over again. We schedule vacations. We're kind of able to live this life in which we dreamed of, if with planning and preparation. And 2020 brought us all to our knees in a sense to realize that there are many things that will happen that is the monkey wrench in the plan. There is no plan for this, and how are we going to adapt? Are we agile? Are we going to move with the times? Will a moment of uncertainty bring us to a complete halt as the world was? Or will we rise to the occasion and find ways to still be connected and moving forward in life? And one thing I did want to note is that everyone, for the most part, did our best during this pandemic through tragic loss and, social injustice and all of the heavy things that we had to deal with in 2020. I was beautifully surprised of everyone's persistence and intentions to move forward with a better outlook, not allowing this pandemic to steal anything steal all of our joy, right? But also making sure that parts of who we truly are came through throughout the madness. And I was really, really happy to see that everyone quarantined, and I was grateful for the families that had a safe and happy home to quarantine with. But really beautiful to see that not only my community, but communities across the world came together to ensure that we are each other's, best pieces. And so a little bit about myself. I was born in the beautiful island of Jamaica. And one of the beautiful things about us is out of many people, one, right? So out of all of us, we are one people. And I think 2020 helped me just not reconnect, but see so much of myself and my culture in how we adapted and we moved forward. So out of many, we definitely come true and did our best for our communities here stateside. As I now live in New York, and I was actually raised in New York. And as a wife and mother of two, I am a sister of four. My mother had four children, and two boys, two girls, and we had quite an interesting upbringing. And as I bring you through this journey, I hope that it helps color why I feel like defining our life definitions truly drive who we are and how we see the world, right? So going right into how did I get here? How did I find this podcast? And what do I mean by these core definitions about life? Some of us just go through life living in a way that we feel it should be lived. And I think in many ways it's a great thing. And then in other ways it limits our ability to grow, to learn, to understand that growth is subjective, and I understand that growth is not the objective of everyone, but I think the beauty in growth is that it's subconscious, right? You don't necessarily walk in a supermarket thinking, I'm going to grow today. If I come across this new product and this interesting ingredient that I've never seen before in this aisle, oh my gosh, is that paprika, right? I don't think we ever think that we're going to grow, but it's in that moment that we're intrigued by the graphics and the ingredient. We pick it up and we read that label and we go, this is interesting. I'm going to commit. I'm going to buy. And it's in that moment that we decide to grow and expand our palette and also our view in life. So this podcast, I hope, sparks those conversations on how subconscious and solidified are our definitions for life. And personally, my vision is always and my intention, I should say, is always to be a better version of myself than I was yesterday, only because the world continues to evolve. And as a parent, as a mother to two amazing daughters, I think it's important that we sit in a place of uncomfortable daily, right? So that we are accustomed to being uncomfortable, but we are also accustomed to growth and knowing that a definition that I had for life, love, laughter, maybe even happiness, yesterday or a year ago no longer exists or is no longer relevant to me today. And how did I get to that definition? And is it evolving with as my life stages involve, right? And not only for women, but men and different generations and different cultures. So this is why this podcast is so important, because I want to talk culture. I want to talk life. I want to talk personal perspective. And how did we get here? What is life? Is it the cycle of professionalism, family, social, and doing it all over again, right? How do we define life? And what is a happy life? And how did we get to these definitions? And are these definitions in conflict with our spirituality and maybe lack thereof? Because I think as humanity, we all believe in a greater power, some more, I want to say, some more intense than others. But I think we all have a sense of karma and believe that the universe provides us in what we give. And how are we feeding that, right? How are we feeding the universe what we want to see back? And also, how do we come to these definitions of what the universe is and what is good and what is bad? Am I living my life in the way that I feel is best? Or have I adapted the definitions that society has dictated to me subconsciously and then moved forward kind of at battle with them, battling with myself with what is the definition of beauty? So it's important that we dive into this subconscious foundation of life and all its definitions. So is it divine or is it define? It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. It's in those definitions through life that we find out what truly drives us, what makes us happy, what is success. So I really look forward to this conversation and you joining this journey with me, learning alongside with me, right? I am humbly sitting with you, asking the questions to everyone that joins me on this platform, crossing culture, race, generations, helping us figure out how do we get to these definitions and are they still relevant? And are we sitting in a place where we are open to expanding those definitions? Or are we just so solidified in what once was because of comfort that we will never challenge it? Right? So I'm intrigued. And yes, I look to spark these amazing conversations in your life, but also we're going to have fun. There will be a lot of fun and interesting conversations to be had here. And yeah, kind of pulling back those layers of a light conversation, but a deep conversation in a fun and very enjoyable space. As I want to say, as the conversations continue to evolve, I'd hope that it's informative, it's encouraging, it's fun. Bring a drink to the podcast. That's what we're championing here, right? Bring a drink to the podcast because we may be hitting you with some heavy hitters, right? Some heavy gems, some hard things that you may not be willing to swallow at first. There will be conversations of the key. And I know for some, the key may be a new terminology and you may not be familiar with, but let me just give you a brief introduction of what the key is. A key is a safe space made and enabled by people who have a bond, a trust with one another, where everything is on the table. There is no holds barred. There is no conversation that cannot be had, even raw and uncut as we need it to get, right? And the beauty of the key is that the trust that lives in this circle, we can end the conversation and love each other a little bit deeper and a little bit harder than we did at the beginning of the conversation, right? It's fun. It is without judgment. It truly is a safe space. And this is what a safe space is. So welcome to How Do You Divine? And I hope together we can define a divine existence in the real world, in real conversations, doing real shit. Excuse my French, but that's just how raw we get here, right? And sometimes I sight go. And I'm happy that you've decided to join me and let's go on this journey together. Thank you for listening. Continue to add dimensions to your definitions. Please join the conversation on all social platforms. #HowDoYouDivine. See you soon.